Welcome to today's GNA. We will be discussing 5 articles. First 4 are related to the prelims and 5th is related to the mains. Now, first article will be the United Nations Security Council's Anti-Terror Panel, in which Pakistan became the co-chair, right? Second is the Chenab and Anji Bridge, which was inaugurated by the Prime Minister today. Third is the Indigenous Fuselage for the Rafale, and fourth is the Hydrology of Brahmaputra. Finally, we will be discussing the mains oriented topic, that is the Stampede Management in India. That's all. So, first news is related to the Pakistan's vice chairmanship of the United Nations Security's Counter-Terrorism Committee. It's a very funny news as well. Funny in the sense because if you see, it is akin to handling the keys to the fox in the charge of the hen house. That is the exact parallel that we can draw in such scenario. So, now what happened, Pakistan has been named as a vice chair of the United Nations Security Council's Counter-Terrorism Committee, which will come into the International Organization GS paper 2. So, let us try to understand what are the various issues related to it. So, basically what happened, we know that the Pakistan has been named in the various committees. For example, it been named in the chair of sanction committee, right, which came under the resolution 1988, which was adopted in when 2011, which oversees sanction against the Taliban. So, it is Taliban's related committees, and we know the relation between the Pakistan and Taliban are in the slippery slope nowadays. Second is it also been named as vice chair of the counter-terrorism committee, right? What it does? So, it is central to the United Nations post 9/11 counter-terrorism framework. So, basically US friendly organization it will be. It is also co-chairing the documentation group as well as co-chairing the sanction group, which will look for the effectiveness of United Nations sanction regime. So, and also sadly, Hafiz says like terrorists are not sanctioned, and the committee is headed by Pakistan. This is very contrast. Now, what will be the implication of it? So, it will basically can be a diplomatic setback for India, because we tried to sanction such designated terrorists and sanction the cross-border terrorism, but if the Pakistan is in chair, then it can really impact the scenario for the India. Also, it will Pakistan will try to do the propaganda against Pakistan will try to do the propaganda against the India. That's why India should be very cautious against such kind of the committees. It will also hinder the India's counter-terrorism diplomacy, like we are member of like RATS and all, right. So, it will somehow impact India's credentials because Pakistan, if they are co-chairing, they will most likely to basically blockade India's progressive look towards such kind of the sanction. Also, it raised strategic concern, right. So, that's why it is quite important to understand that Pakistan in the helm of the in charge of terrorism itself is a terrorist state. It's a very sad state of the thing, and it also is a mockery of the United Nations Security Council and United Nations in general, right. So, basically so what is the India's position? So, basically India expressed that friendly countries like France, which is now an all-weather friend for India, Russia, which used to be all-weather friend, nowadays their things are few different, Algeria, Guyana and the Greece. Greece is a country which is very friendly with India, and Greece have also sought India's information on the Rafale after the India's Operation Sindoor. So, they are the friendly country in these committees. India is seeking to neutralize the Pakistan's basically propaganda by using these diplomatic outreach of these countries, right. So, now let us try to understand what is United Nations Security Council. Is very important for the prelims purposes, as well you can use it for the mains purposes. So, basically it is one of the United Nations 6 main organ which is mandated to maintain the international peace and security, right, and which is headquarters at New York City, and membership of the United Nations Security Council is of the 15. Out of 15 there are 5 permanent member. We know P5, China, France, Russia, United Kingdom and USA as a permanent country, or we call P5 country, and there are non-permanent members like 10 non-permanent members are appointed every 2 years. Based on the secret ballot voted in the United Nations General Assembly, right. and India has been non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council for a total number of 8 times. So, India also has a very good tenure in this council, but again Pakistan in anti-terrorist grouping is again matter of concern, right. So, what are the various functions and power of UNSC? So, to uphold international peace and security, right, that is the first function. Then there is a armament control strategy they adopt. Next is the they do the threat assessment of any aggression or likely aggression kind of the thing, and they also look into the dispute resolution mechanism, followed by the military action if needed. For example, the attack on the Iraq by the United Nations. So, for the first time I believe it was a unanimous decision at that time. So, these are the work done by the United Nations Security Council. Now, let us try to understand the various other committees under Resolution 1888, which was founded in 2011. So, it was established by United Nations Security Council in 2011 following the separation of sanction regime related to Taliban and Al Qaeda. The function of the same is like review of removal request, designation of entities, implementation oversight, reporting to the United Nations Security Councils, examination of the report submitted to it, and the periodic review are the key work of this committee. What are the sanction measures that they adopt? So, they can asset or freeze the assets, right. They can impose the travel ban, and they can do the arm embargo, and which can prohibit directly or indirect supply of the arms and ammunition to the entities like. Now, let us try to understand counter-terrorism committee that we call CTC. So, CTC was established by United Nations Security Council under Resolution 1373 in 2001 after the 9/11 attack. Obviously, it is again a US friendly institution. What are the key functions? To monitor and implementation of various things related to the counter-terrorism obligations. Second, it helps state to criminalize terrorism, freeze terrorist asset, and enhance border control laws. Also, it works for the capacity building and facilitate information sharing among the countries and the best practices among the various countries, and they also tend to uphold the human right. That is the function of the counter-terrorism committee of the United Nations Security Council. Now, let us try to solve the question which is visible in the screen. Hope you will be able to solve it. Next question is on the today itself Prime Minister Modi inaugurated Kashmir's first all-weather rail link with Delhi, right. So, there are two most important things, that is one is the Chenab Bridge, and there are other features like inauguration of Vande Bharat train and all, right. So, you can see Modi ji waving the tricolor, Indian tricolor in the Chenab Valley, right. Now, let us try to understand various aspects of the Chenab rail bridge. So, basically it is basically now world's highest railway arch bridge, right, which is much taller than Eiffel Tower or our Statue of Unity, right. For example, the length of the Chenab rail bridge is of 1315 meters, right, with the height of 359 meters from the river bed, with the cost having 1486 crore, which is a huge amount, right, which is again built by Northern Railway and Shapurji Palonji's Afcons, right. The joint venture between those companies. The key features are like it is seismic proof. IIT Roorkee has been catered in to make the entire infrastructure seismic proof, because this area is quite prone to the seismic activities, and as per the information available, it can withheld 2001 like Gujarat like earthquake situation, which was quite severe, right. So, it is quite a sturdy design, and it is largely made of the steel. You can see 25,000 tons of steel, which is 3 times more than the steel used in the Eiffel Tower was used in Chenab Valley River Bridge, right. It was also designated to withhold the wind speed of 260 km per hour, because it is like quite windy and gusty area, plus since it lies in the Kashmir Valley or Kashmir area, right, it can withhold minus 20 degree of the temperature, right. So, it's a very modern kind of the infrastructure. Not only that, it will be a connectivity tool between the Jammu and Kashmir, if I let say, or from the Kanyakumari till Kashmir. Now, rail connectivity is live, right? You can visit from the Kanyakumari till Kashmir via rail, because you can see it. And if you go to the local impact of it, so it will basically add Kuwari to the Bakkal. Now earlier it used to take like 1 day to travel this distance. Now it will take few hours only, right? So that is the great achievement, and also it will connect the Kashmir from the mainland of the India. This is also one of the, or it will improve the tourism potential of the Kashmir, which was recently hampered by the Pahalgam like terrorist attack. Anyways, second is the Anji Khad Bridge. So Anji Khad Bridge is India's first cable style railway bridge, with having height 331 meters and length of 725 meters. It features 96 high tensile cables and 193 meters inverted Y-shaped pylon, right? It is built in a geologically challenging terrain. That's why it's quite important for the infrastructure and engineering purposes. Next is the Udhampur Srinagar Baramulla Ring Rail, or we call USBRL, which includes 36 tunnels and 943 bridges. Again, an engineering marvel, which will establish all-weather rail connectivity to the Kashmir Valley. So these are not only for the public infrastructure, but these are the strategic infrastructure as well, because in case of the any future aggression from the Pakistan or the China, or by the Pakistan and China together, right, that we call two front war, we will be able to neutralize such kind of the aggression using these kind of the infrastructure, because we can mobilize our assets using these kind of the infrastructure, right. So these are the various aspects. Now let us try to understand why these arc bridges are quite important and why they are quite unique. So an arc bridge basically features a curved upward arc. So what is the importance of this arc is, you can make is like this, or we can make like this, like, but it's parabolic in shape. The parabolic in shape of such bridges helps to sustain and withhold the various kind of the pressure that is there on the bridges. That's why they are quite important. You can see the most famous bridges of the world are based on these kind of the technology as well, right, which can load into horizontal thrust supported by the abutment of the both sides. Like in practical use, the arc must use withstand bending moment, shear forces and axial forces. There are the three factor that is quite important for the arc bridges, right. Second is the cable style bridge that we have seen, the Khad one, right. So it features one or more towers. You can see here, right. We can also see the Naini bridge of the Prayagraj or Allahabad, right, with cables directly connecting the bridge to deck in a fan of parallel pattern. So try to recall, in case you are from the Prayagraj, tell me in the comment box. So you might have visited this Naini bridge that we call, right. So this is one of the example of cable bridge, right. So just to give you an example. Now the importance of such bridge we have already discussed. It have basically importance in terms of connecting people from Kashmir to the Jammu area, or from the Kashmir to the mainland of India, including the hinterland like the Kanyakumari to the Kashmir, and the strategic importance is also there. Plus it will boost the economic or tourism potential of the Kashmir, and with the integration of the Kashmir, there will be more inflow of the tourism, and it will help Kashmir to flourish in better terms, right. So these are the various aspects of this bridge and the various infrastructure project inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi today, right. You can solve the question given in the screen. Hope you will be able to do it. Next question, next topic is very important, that is what happened that Dassault Aviation tried up with the Tata for the Rafale fighter fuselage production in India. So what is the news all about? So we will have to try to understand what happened. So Dassault Aviation, which makes Rafale for us, is now will be building the body of the plane in India, that we call fuselage, right, or the body of the plane, right, which is very important, and they will make it with the help of the Tata Advanced System Limited, that is the TASL, and it will be situated in Hyderabad, right. So basically it will boost India's aerospace manufacturing capabilities manifold, because Dassault is considered one of the state of art fighter craft of 4.5 generation, right. That's why it's very important. Now let us try to understand about the Rafale and how it is important. So, we have already 36 Rafale in operation, and we are supposed to purchase 26 more Rafale for our Navy by the year 2030, right. So, it will be after the Sukhoi, it will be Sukhoi 30 MKI, it will be one of the India's main air dominant fighter plane, right. Apart from India and France, Rafale is deployed in various countries like Egypt, Qatar, UAE, Greece also called for the information on the Rafale, Indonesia, Croatia and Serbia, right. And is a 4.5 generation twin engine delta wing multi-role fighter developed by the Dassault Aviation of France, right. And it is designed for air superiority or air dominance, ground attack and naval missions, and it combines advanced avionics, high agility and powerful weapon system. So, basically we have seen the recently so called attack or aggression by the Pakistan was neutralized by the India in the Operation Sindoor, and most likely we have used this Rafale in this thing. Now, let us try to understand the various generation of the fighter plane, what is the meaning of it. So, we generally see the Rafale is 4.5 generation. So, what are these generations? So, basically we can divide the generation of aircraft into 6 generation. So, 1 to 6 we can define it. As of now, we the 5th generation aircraft are in operation, and in future we are planning to make the 6th generation aircraft as well. One of the upcoming project of India will be AMCA, right. So, AMCA will be a future proof of aircraft. However, we will try to understand what are the various generation of the aircraft. So, first generation aircraft was used in 1940s to 1950s, and they used turbojet for its propulsion, right, instead of the earlier piston driven aircraft. For example, MiG-15 was first generation aircraft. Now, comes to the second generation aircraft which was in operations from 1950s to 1960s. It was integrated with the new technologies like it will have the delta wing, right, guided missiles or beyond visual range missiles that we call BVR missiles. Nowadays the capability of BVR was tested and it was effective as well for the India. For examples of second generation are MiG-29, Sukhoi 7 and F-104 Star fighter aircraft. Now, coming to the third generation. So, the third generation was in use or was manufacturing in 1960s to 1970s, and it include improved radar, missile as well as improved avionic. Mirage 3 or MiG-25 or F-4 Phantom are the example of third generation aircraft. Now, coming to the fourth generation aircraft which was basically developed during the 1970s to 1990s. So, it incorporated fly-by-wire controls, right. After that, it had the multi-role capabilities, offensive as well as the defensive capabilities. Examples are Mirage 2000 of India that we used during the Balakot, right. MiG-29 MKI we use for our naval forces, upgraded version. Sukhoi 27, F-16 Fighting Falcons etc. are the example of the fourth generation. Now, coming to 4.5 generation. So, Rafale is 4.5 generation aircraft which was developed during 1990s, and it used more advanced avionics and electronics and with some stealth capabilities. Sukhoi 30 MKI or the Rafale are basically 4.5 generation aircraft. And fifth generation aircraft will be more stealthy, they will have multi-role capability with them, and they will have the super cruise speed with them, right. And they will have thrust vectoring, and they will have multi sensors integrated with them, so that any war in future can be dominated by these kind of aircraft. There are only few aircraft that is of the fifth generation that is fully operational. For example, F-22 Raptor or Sukhoi T-50 are the examples of the fifth generation aircraft, right. So, these are the various stages of the aircraft. Now, let us try to understand about few more information about the India's Rafale, that is our one of the most important aircraft. So, what are the weapons that are integrated with the Rafale? There are various weapons. For example, there are air-to-air meteor missiles which we most probably used during a recent strike of the Operation Sindoor. It is having a long range, it is radar guided and ramjet powered missile. Second is the Mika, and there are air to ground weapons, which is scalp that we generally used, and the hammer we used recently, and it was effective, quite effective as well. Then there are laser guided bombs for the precision strike, right. There are also anti-ship missiles like Exocet as well as naval scalp. So these are the various missiles. You can see these are integrated in the Rafale. You can see the Meteor and other missiles or the weapon system of the Rafale, right. Now, what will the importance of creating fuel cells for India? So, you might be hearing about the Atmanirbharta in defense that was beautifully displayed recently during the Operation Sindoor. So, it will give the boost to the Atmanirbharta in defense when we can be basically building the main body of one of the most demanding aircraft of the world, which we can basically export to our friendly countries for the defensive or offensive role purposes. Also, it will create an ecosystem of the avionics in India. It will also provide us some kind of the technology transfer, which will help us in future to create our own AMCA like weapon system or fighter jets, right. So, that these are the various uses of such kind of the system, right. Now, there is a practice question, you can solve it using the existing information. Next topic is on the hydrology of Brahmaputra. It came in Indian Express. What is the backdrop of this? So, recently CM Hemanta Biswa Sharma responded to a Pakistan's new water related narrative of a hypothetical scenario concerning the Brahmaputra river and its water distribution, right. It will come into GS paper 1 with the distribution of national resources in India and the river system. You can see the tweet by the Honorable Chief Minister of the Assam, Hemanta Biswa Sharma ji, right. Now, let us try to understand what is the Brahmaputra river and its various aspect for the UPSC purposes. So, basically Brahmaputra rises as a Yarlung Sangpo in the Chemyungdang glacier, which is situated in southwestern part of the Tibet, right. It is very close to the origin of Indus and Satluj. These are the transboundary rivers of the India, and it flows with a gentle slope despite high altitude in the Tibet area. However, it enters India in Arunachal Pradesh. The place is Geling, right. You can see it in the map, right, and it is known as the Siang in Arunachal Pradesh and Brahmaputra in the Assam. So, there are different name of the Brahmaputra, and it is joined by the multiple tributaries in Assam. Enters Bangladesh as a Jamuna. In the Bangladesh, it is known as what? Jamuna, right, and it is a navigable channel of 640 kilometer, which is very good number of the kilometers, right. Now, we will have to see the various tributary of the Brahmaputra river. So, we will can divide it into left bank tributaries and the right bank tributaries. So, its left bank tributaries are Lhasa river, Nyang river, Zango river, Lohit river, Dhansari river, Kolang river, and its right bank tributaries are Kemang river, Manas river, Beki river, Raidak river, Jaldaka river, Tista river and Sabansari river. So, in the UPSC twice the question was asked on the tributaries of the Brahmaputra. That is why it is very important. Now, as per the Chief Minister Sharma, he pointed out that 65 to 70% of the Brahmaputra's flow is generated within the India. So, we do not have to worry because it is indigenous one. So, it is a huge quantity of the water that is we are generating indigenously. It is not, we are not entirely dependent on the China for the Brahmaputra river. If the water flow is reduced in the Brahmaputra, so it will be a blessing in disguise, because the flood in the Brahmaputra, you might be hearing every year about the flooding in Manas or flooding in the Assam, and many rhinos are being killed, right. So, as per Hemanta Biswa Sharma ji, it will help northeast of India rather than it will danger the northeast of India. Even in the worst case scenario, if China is basically tinkering with the water flow of the Brahmaputra, it will not impact us much. For example, the importance of Brahmaputra for the northeast is huge. It is lifeline of the Himachal and Arunachal Pradesh for the freshwater purposes, and the other things like these are used for the flood mitigation purposes. They have the high hydro power potential, like about 41% of the India's hydropower potential lies in the northeast of India, of which Brahmaputra make is very important role, right. And there are many strategic projects as well on the Brahmaputra river. That's why Brahmaputra is quite important, right. So we can see that if China is making any dam, for example, they have already made a dam that we call Medoc Dam, right, or that we call Great Bend Dam, right. We can see in the picture, right, which generates around 60,000 megawatt of the electricity. That is 3 times of the Three Gorges Dam. So they have already made. So it is not have impacted India so much as of now. So in future, if let us suppose they are doing anything, it will not impact much, because we have self sufficiency in the number of the water flow and other things, right. So these are the various aspects of this river. You can see it. Now let us try to solve the PYQ using the information given in the discussion. Hope you will be able to solve it. Now next topic is related to the mains, that is the Stampede Management. So a very unfortunate incident occurred recently after the winning of the IPL of the RCB. Around 11 people are reportedly dead, and there are more than 50-60 people who are basically feared injured in this stampede, right. In the Chinaswami Stadium, it was very unfortunate. However, from the UPSC purposes, we will try to do it. What is the various reason behind the stampede? What are the solutions? What are the best practices? And what is the way forward? And you can see the very unfortunate picture here of the few people having this leftover things over there, right. So let us try to understand about the news. So there was a stampede at the Chinaswami Stadium, Bangalore on June 4th, in which 11 people died reportedly and 56 were injured, right. So as per the World Health Organization definition, mass gathering are the basically assembly of more than a specific number of the people at a designated location for a particular purpose over a set period of time. That is the definition of the mass gathering. And if the mass gathering is uncontrolled, it results into the stampede, right. And mass gathering can be of the two types: spontaneous and planned. So planned is when there is a limitation with the gathering. So there are like ticket system, like you watch any cricket match in the IPL or any things else, or you go to the movie theater. So there are limited seats and limited tickets are available. So it's a very planned gathering. You can plan the disaster management aspect of it, but there are at times spontaneous kind of the gathering. In the spontaneous kind of the gathering, these kind of the situation generally occurs, that we call stampede, right. And as per the NCRB data from the 1996 and till 2022, which is the latest one as per the NCRB, India recorded around 3,935 stampedes, which is huge in number, right, and recorded more than 3,000 of the stampede death, which is very unfortunate as well. You can see there is a mass gathering, then there is a planned mass gathering, then there is a spontaneous mass gathering. This is dangerous because it's a red line. You can see it clearly, right. So what are the reason behind the frequent stampede in India? We can see a pattern. There was a recently stampede in the Kumbh, followed by the New Delhi. So let us try to understand the various reasons behind it. The first is the high crowd density and poor management. Example is 2015 Mahakumbh Mela of the Prayagraj, which was having overcrowding in it, resulting the mass stampede, right. Second is the inadequate infra and the design. For example, in 2011 Elphinstone station of the Mumbai, there was a narrow stairway resulting the death of the significant number of the people. Next is the panic and lack of the communication. There are information, there are misinformation, there are disinformation. So India is basically having all these kind of the scenario in us. Example is the 2025 Delhi railway station, when there was a basically misinformation on few aspect, right, resulting a death of again a few number of the people, which was very unfortunate. We should have avoided it. And next is the inefficient emergency preparedness. For example, anything happens, we'll have to prepare ourselves for the disaster like situation, but in India there is a lack of preparedness in terms of the mass stampede like situation. Recent example is of Chinaswami only. There was a lack of planning. That's why the Bangalore police chief was fired as well. So that is the reason, right? And there are cultural and social factors as well. For example, Kolkata, in Kolkata, Durga Puja is celebrated in mass. It's one of the famous festival, right? Which result into a large number of the people. But again, there is a lack of the planning, and due to social and cultural factors, there will be basically the large gathering of the crowd. We need to avoid such kind of the situation if we are preparing in advance. So also there is a lack of crowd control measures. For example, in 2022, stampede at Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine was triggered by huge rush of the pilgrims. It also resulted into the mass stampede, and there is a unplanned large scale event. For example, in 2024, Hathras stampede resulted in again a large number of the death, which was unplanned, right? So these are the situation which result into the deaths, and it can be avoided as well. So we have example of the international incident of the stampede as well. It is not restricted to India. For example, in 1896, there was a more than 1,000 people died in Moscow. In 1963, Lima football match, 326 people died. In 2005, White Temple stampede, more than 340 people died. In 2015, Mina Haji stampede, more than 769 to 2000 people died. Again in 2022, in South Halloween stampede, Seoul Halloween stampede, a significant number of the people died. And finally in 2023, Yemen charity event, more than 1000 people died, right? So these are the unfortunate event, not restricted to the India only, but world over there is a stampede like situation. But what we can do is to learn from such kind of the situation and improve the further situation, so that any such unfortunate death can be avoided. Now what are the way forward again for it? So first is the effective planning, and trained personnel should be there who can do the crowd management. Second is we need to improve the infrastructure. Any narrow situation, narrow strip, if there is a present, we should avoid large gathering. Again, we need to do the real time monitoring and communication. We are drone superpower now. We are using the satellite data, so we should be using all kind of the data for the crowd management as well. And also we need to prepare ourselves for the emergency kind of the situation. There was due to lack of emergency situation, we lose the golden hour, and due to the lost golden hour, there is a result of the death in general. Also there needs to aware our citizens about the crowd management and situation, try to avoid any misinformation, disinformation coming out from the large gathering. There is a need to coordinate with the local authority. If police is denying, they are not capable of holding a huge number of the people, the politicians should also listen to them. It should not be a one-way process. And also we need to do the post facto analysis, what went wrong with the every stampede, otherwise it will keep on going. Now what is the NDMA guideline related to the crowd management? So there are various guidelines. For example, NDMA recommends use of the technology like drones for the crowd analysis. There is a need to train and aware people about the various aspects of the crowd management. Again, emergency response should be very prompt. There should be crowd flow management. If we are managing the flow of the crowd, we can avoid the crowd easily. We can break the crowd into the various brackets. It will help for the crowd management. Also, we need to improve the infrastructure and facilities as well as the NDMA. We need to do the risk assessment and the planning before the event. And finally, we need to have safe and orderly mass gathering to avoid such kind of the situation. These are the guidelines related to the NDMA. Hope you will be able to understand the stampede and stampede management in better way. It was related to the disaster management aspect. Now let's try to understand the practice question. Question says, stampedes at mass gathering continue to endanger public safety in India, as seen in the recent Bangalore stampede and past event like 2025 Kumbh Mela and 2011 Elephant tragedy. Now examine the key reasons for recurring stampede and assess the adequacy of existing crowd management system in India. Suggest effective measures to prevent such incident in the future. You will write in 250-word answer and you will be rewarded 50 marks. So that is all on today's DNA. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.